Are you being tormented by an endless stream of negative self-talk that chips away at your confidence and well-being? That critical inner voice that constantly puts you down, second-guesses your every move, and fills you with doubt and insecurity? If so, you're not alone, and there is a way to break free. This inner battle with negative thoughts is one of the biggest sources of human suffering, but you have more power over that inner narrator than you realize. In this guide, we'll explore practical strategies to transform your self-talk from negative to positive, nurturing, and empowering. At the end of this video, you'll be able to silence your inner critic and reclaim your mind by using these hacks. 1. Become aware of your inner critic. The first step is to simply notice your negative self-talk without judging it. Your inner critic's messages are so ingrained that they can feel normal, but when you shine a light on that voice, you'll realize how irrational and cruel it can be. Listen for phrases like, "You're not good enough," "You'll never succeed," "Who do you think you are?" Notice how that voice makes you feel, probably inadequate, anxious, or ashamed. Awareness is powerful because it's harder for negative thoughts to run on autopilot. Personify your inner critic if it helps. Give it a silly name and imagine what it looks like. This separation reminds you that it's not your true self talking, just a bully in your mind. Once you're aware of the inner critic's presence, you've taken the first step in disarming it. Negative thoughts lose their power when you hear them consciously rather than blindly believing them. 2. Talk back with compassion. Now that you're aware of the negative voice, you can start challenging it. But don't fight fire with fire. That will only breed more negativity. Instead, talk back with kindness and logic. If your inner critic says you're so stupid for messing that up, respond with, "Actually, I'm human and mistakes happen sometimes. They don't define my worth." Replace harsh put-downs with messages of understanding and self-compassion. You can even visualize your wise, caring inner mentor gently correcting that bully voice. Over time, that positive voice will grow louder than the critic. By treating yourself with the kindness you'd offer a dear friend, you disempower the harsh put-downs. Self-compassion soothes the wounded parts of us that drive the inner critic. 3. Pivot to the positive. Once you've diffused the negative message, pivot by intentionally planting a positive thought about yourself or the situation. This trains your brain to default to a more constructive perspective. For example, if your inner voice is saying, "I'm such a failure in my career," counter that with, "My career is a journey and I'm learning and growing every day." Shift your mind to highlight your strengths, efforts, and potential for growth. The more you practice interrupting negativity by affirming the positive, the more automatic it becomes. You're quite literally rewiring old negative loops in your brain, like strengthening a muscle. Pivoting to positivity takes ongoing practice, but it allows the supportive inner coach to eventually drown out your inner critic. 4. Connect to your values. A driven inner critic often stems from a harsh inner stance that says you're not enough unless you meet impossible standards. This leaves you in a constant state of self-criticism and anxiety. Pause and reflect on the values and vision that really matter to you deep down. Is it showing up with integrity, expressing your creativity, living with purpose? Connect to the reasons you committed to your most meaningful goals. From this values-centered stance, have self-compassion if you hit stumbles along the way. Your self-worth isn't contingent on achieving perfection. Living your values with your best effort is what's important. When your inner voice attacks, ask if the criticism aligns with your core values. If not, disregard it as an irrelevant heckler and refocus on what really matters. 5. Observe the critical thought. When you notice a negative thought, don't wrestle with it. Simply observe it with healthy detachment. Thoughts are just thoughts, not facts. They'll arise in the stream of consciousness, then naturally pass if you let them flow. Imagine the thought is a floating cloud drifting across your mind's sky, watched by your impartial witness consciousness. The more you simply notice the criticism without judging or attaching to it, the quicker it will pass. If it's a recurring sticky thought, get curious about it and ask where it came from. Was it a message absorbed from harsh criticism in your childhood? Knowing the thought's origins allows you to have empathy for yourself and let it go. The goal isn't to fight negative thoughts that feeds them energy. It's to avoid fusing with them so they pass through your mind peacefully. 6. Ground in the present. Negative self-talk thrives by ruminating on the past and catastrophizing about the future, but you have power in the present moment, where thoughts are just thoughts, not reality. When you notice a negative mental loop, Use your senses to firmly anchor into the here and now. Notice the air's temperature on your skin, the press of the ground beneath your feet, or any sounds around you. This engages your awareness in the only moment any of us ever really has, the present. From this grounded presence, any judgmental thoughts simply sound silly and inconsequential. The vast majority of what our inner critics predict never happens. Stay rooted in present reality, and the critic has less terrain to torment you. Daily practices like meditation, mindful walking, or breath work prime you to have this present-centered consciousness. From this space of conscious presence, the ego's negative chatter loses its potency. 7. Keep it light-hearted. Our inner critics can breed a heaviness of spirit that keeps us engulfed in seriousness, but you can intentionally cultivate a lighter attitude by finding humor in the negative voice. Negative thoughts often sound ridiculously overblown and outrageous upon inspection. If you notice your inner voice scolding you like a caricature of a ruthless drill sergeant, you might start laughing instead of buying into its tirades. Not only does humor disarm negativity, it shifts your brain into a more positive, creative mindset. While the critic is mechanical and constricting, humor reminds you not to take it so seriously. Your true self has enough perspective for lightheartedness. Try making your negative thoughts into a comedic shtick you perform for friends. Once you hear how absurd they sound out loud, self-criticism becomes both powerless and laughable. 8. Practice mantras. To train your brain into more uplifting patterns, curate positive affirmations that counteract common negative themes in your inner voice. When you catch yourself defaulting to criticism, keep these affirmations simple, present tense, and repeat them. Some examples: I am enough exactly as I am. This is just a temporary challenge to grow through. I focus on what I can control. I meet obstacles with patience and wisdom. I treat myself with kindness and compassion. The critic paints you as hopelessly flawed, inadequate, or incapable, but your mantra can be the voice reminding you of your wholeness, resilience, and courage. Combine mantras with deep breathing, as the oxygen helps shift you out of the stressed, self-critical mindset. Post reminders or record yourself saying the affirmation to help it sink in. While it may feel hokey initially, daily practice conditions new positivity into your neurocircuitry. The negative loops erode while the mantras become your brain's new default. 9. Reframe perceived failures. Your inner critic inevitably growls loudest when you perceive yourself as failing or falling short. This critical self-talk then perpetuates a cycle of self-sabotaging behaviors and attitudes. But you can choose to reframe situations where the inner voice would normally attack. Instead of judging a setback as evidence of your unworthiness, view it as a growth opportunity. Wisdom arises not through constantly succeeding, but struggling, persisting, and learning from challenges. For example, if you were passed over for a promotion, don't beat yourself up. Reflect on what new skills or qualities would serve you in advancing. If you made a mistake in a relationship, see it as a chance to take responsibility, apologize, and improve. Whenever the inner critic tries to convince you of your deficiency, assert that every experience is grist for the mill of your ongoing evolution. Reframe, learn, and keep moving forward with self-compassion. 10. Amplify supportive voices. While quieting the inner critic, simultaneously amplify supportive inner voices and outer sources of positive mirroring. We all have digraphs of nurturing self-talk within us, but they can be drowned out by harsher voices. Spend time each day envisioning or writing out how an unconditionally loving presence would address you. How might your wisest, most caring self, or an admired mentor, respond to your struggles with tenderness and belief in your inherent worth? Let the kind and compassionate parts of yourself have a louder say. Schedule intentional reminders through the day to stop and ask, how would my best friend respond to this situation? Then voice that supportive perspective. Outside sources of positive mirroring are also powerful. Surround yourself with people, books, podcasts, or social media accounts that reflect your highest potential back to you, rather than buy into narratives of self-diminishment. As you amplify a truthful, supportive chorus both internally and externally, it slowly drowns out the bully of the inner critic. Your self-perception shifts to see yourself through a more nurturing lens. The inner critic's voice may have deep roots and habitual chords it likes to play within your mind, but its torrent of negativity stems from illusion rather than truth. Through the intentional practices outlined here, you can dislodge its overbearing dominance and allow your genuine self-acceptance, wisdom, and spirit to shine through. You alone have the power to be the voice you listen to, So make it one of unconditional self-support, kindness, and belief in your inherent completeness. A positive inner voice creates a positive outer world. If you have made it this far, comment down below with the word 100% to confirm that you have received the knowledge from this video. For more interesting topics, make sure you watch the recommended video that you see on the screen right now. Thanks for watching.